A spiral shape! What an amazing idea! But how to do that? In this episode, I will show you the theory behind the concept, so hopefully you will get the idea of how this works. Prepare yourself because there is a lot to come. Making a conventional wood stave shell is kind of easy. Basic geometry gives you the angle you need to cut the staves and the width of it depending on the outside diameter wanted. Then it's just a matter of machining the parts accurately and gluing them together so you will obtain a rough shell ready to turn. But if you want to keep the same stave geometry and dispose them with an angle, if you assemble them, you will end with a weird spiral staircase shaped thing, impossible to close. Unless you extend the length of the staves, which will give you a conventional wood stave shell. As I had this idea for the first time about 15 years ago now, I made my first drawing by hand. Then, once I could, I made a 3D model on my computer and all the plans needed to start the fabrication. Unfortunately, at some point I had my computer stolen and no backup elsewhere. So I had to start everything again. No choice, so I had to redo the drawings by hand, and once I could afford a new computer, I downloaded Fusion 360 to transpose the ideas to a 3D model one more time. And my solution is the following one. First, I draw a conventional wood stave shell. Then I will say this will be the top end and this the bottom end of one stave. After that, I need to draw the sides so I can use a straight piece of wood to connect the two ends. Then I need to trim a bit the top and bottom ends to avoid interferences between the staves at the assembly. For now, I will draw these perpendicular lines to finish my virtual wood bit. Right now I have these two shapes as top and bottom faces. Then I need to anticipate two modifications because I already tried and failed. So now I know. First, I will increase the outside diameter to have sufficient material so there is no holes after the shell turning. Second, I will add an angle to my previous perpendicular lines to avoid interferences at the assembly. These are the final shapes of my bottom and top faces. Now it's time to put the things in perspective so I can shift the top face by 6.5 inches, which is the height of my snare drum, and draw a straight piece of wood that includes the two ends. Let's trim the ends to obtain the blanks I cut in the first episode. Now comes the problem of machining the edges. Theoretically, I will need to cut an helicoidal edge, which will be like the thread of a screw. As I had no way to machine such a complex shape, I found the following solution. Each small side of one edge is divided in two lines. So if I connect the dots, I will end with one triangle on each long side of the edge. Now I need to divide the remaining parts in two triangles, so each point of the top and bottom face is now joined. I will do exactly the same thing on the opposite edge, so the two long sides of one stave are complementary and can match with each other. I color-coded each triangle, so that will be easier when the machining comes. The prototypes I made, which I will talk about later, also made me discover that I would need to invert the triangles between the two edges so they can match with each other. And here is my final stave, ready to assemble! Before going any further, I needed to make some prototypes to ensure that the concept was actually working for real. Oh, what a mess! Let me clean everything quickly. That's way better. So here are the prototypes I made. I machined them using a handsaw and some files, following the same order of operation that I previously have shown to you in Fusion. As you can see, there is a large side which will be on the outside of the shell and the thinner side which will be on the inside. And here are the 4 triangles that I previously talked about. If I take the second piece, you can also see the 4 triangles, but with a concave shape. Let's try to assemble the 2 pieces. It works! It's working! As you can see, here will be the top edge of the shell, and here will be the bottom. That's a lot of talking. Let's make a break before I explain to you how I want to machine the parts. It works, it's working, it works, it's working, it works, it's working. And here are the first parts I machined using my special stand. As you can see, it seems to work pretty well. You can start to imagine where the final shell is located inside the staves.